What's up, Tempo family? It's your girl Tiana here for another YouTube Live guest interview. Today's guest is author Samuel Thomas, who wrote the book A Purposeful Madness in honor of Trinidad's 60th Independence Day. And speaking of continues, what is the meaning of Samuel continues?
First of all, a pleasant good afternoon to everyone, everywhere. Good morning, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for the warm welcome, Tiana, and thank you, Tempo Networks and Dr. Morton for having me. The meaning of the name Samuel continues is, my last name is actually Thomas Jr. So I just figured that if I took off the Thomas Jr., that would be synonymous with continues, right? And it's also continuity of Samuel, my mantra.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. Samuel Thomas Jr. is synonymous with Samuel continues. And also is continuity of my name, of the name Samuel. It also has a biblical meaning behind it as well. Right? And the boy Samuel continued to grow in favor and in stature with the Lord and with people, right? And I really hold that close to me. So I decided to use this name not just for myself as an artist, but for the book as well. So that's the meaning of the name Samuel continues.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Has a cool sound to it. That makes sense.
Thank you.
What is Rotavism?
Raptivism.
Raptivism.
Right, the pronunciation was almost correct there. So Raptivism is the first and only developmental philosophy, right? And why we say that is because it stresses on active change through service. Philosophy tends to be very reflective, right? And what you find would happen is people develop themselves, but they are not able to enact that change with the philosophy that they've used. So we developed a framework, right, whereby people can use a philosophy to enact change, active change. So Raptivism is also a genre of madness, right? And it thrives on self-esteem, right? Sometimes you have to push madness to bring something different. And this one isn't madness, uncontrolled. This is a purposeful madness.
Yeah. And how did you come up with the name Raptivism?
So in the 21st century, we speak a lot about, groundbreaking or disruptive technologies and advancements, right? Abbreviation is something that we also adopted in the 21st century, so we threw off the beginning of the word disruptive. That was kind of negative. I decided to take it upon myself to use ruptive, and we added a nod to it. So we took the negative and substituted it with a positive. So the O in the word nod was placed where the U is now. And that is, in essence, again, a very purposeful madness. That is Raptivism.
All the things you're saying to me, it's making so much sense. Like it has a purposeful madness. There's a reason for it. There's a symbolism behind it. There's a meaning behind it. And what inspired you to write this book, A Purposeful Madness?
Well, this book, the short answer for it is I wanted the wider world to view Trinidad in a better light. And at the start of the book, my co-author and I, Okera Duncan, we planted the seed of why Trinidadians are capable of global change. We have something called literary tourism, right? And we have so many different resources within Trinidad and Tobago, but we decided to capitalize on the human resource. So through that, we wrote a philosophy. And when people embody this philosophy, actually, a lot of people are embodying this philosophy, right? In essence, because it's developed upon us being, disruptive change makers and Trinidad being a plural society. All of that is in the book, right? And we decided to write it to show the world what we are capable of as Raptivists.
And who are Raptivists?
So a Raptivist is 5 things. There are 5 core tenets of what a Raptivist is, right? This was developed, right, again with my co-author and I, to lay out a clear framework so that people could apply it to their lives and actually make the change that we want to see, right? So Raptivist is 5 things. You could memorize this, you could write it down. A challenger, an internally based actor, an accountable agent, a practical thinker, and a self-starter. So a challenger is someone who challenges the status quo, right? They are able to do things that the world has not seen before, not just for the sake of it, but to make a real change, right? And an internally based actor is someone who acts within that internal locus. They are able to carry out things not by their own accord, but there's a higher calling that enables them to act within themselves. So that is the internally based actor. Accountable agent, that is someone who says what, they say something and they're going to show up and they're going to do things to carry out that level of change, and in their daily lives, they embody that. And a practical thinker, that one, it is you realizing that, things happen the way they happen because we need to we need to coexist with people. In other words, a lot of people live in their imaginations, but reality is such a thing where something could happen, right? And you would not expect it, and you just have to go with the flow. As being practical. A practical thinker is also someone who stresses on the gray areas of change, right? Realizing that life is not just black and white, right? So that is a practical thinker. A self-starter, right, is someone who doesn't need a prompt from someone else to begin what they need to do. The only prompt that you need is time. Time is the truest prompt. And knowing that we are not here forever, that should encourage you to be a self-starter. So 5 things again: a challenger, internally based actor, accountable agent, practical thinker, and self-starter. Remember the acronym CAPS, right? We're going to have a lot of different promotional things with that, but that is who a Raptivist is at the core.
And who was this book written for?
This book is actually written for people who, have been wondering about change for a long time. This is actually a chapter within the book, Demystifying Change. They've been wondering about change, but they weren't quite sure as to how to begin that change or who to join forces with to enact that change, And this book is something that can encourage that individual to now begin changing. So in essence, this book is, or this philosophy rather, is the philosophy of the people. It's for everyone, everywhere. If you want to make change, this is a developmental philosophy, the first and only developmental philosophy for that person to be able to bring about real change.
And how long have you been a writer?
This is actually my first book, but I am an artist as well.
Wow.
Yes.
This is a really heavy topic with like so many moving parts and so much investment. This is your first book?
First book, yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
First book. Thank you very much. And the book actually took 2 years to write.
I was just going to ask that. How long did it take to write this book? What was the process like?
So basically it stemmed from me deciding to make change in some way, because I wasn't satisfied with what I was seeing in the world, and I decided that if we really needed to change things, we needed to, give people a framework or a paradigm, in a sense, a philosophy that they can embody in their lives, in their daily lives, so that their thinking patterns would be different towards, different topics in life, so that they would now, be able to, move forward in life, and be self-assured and confident. But my writing background actually came through me being an artist and a songwriter, because I am a musician, a vocalist, songwriter.
Wow.
First, right? And this was my call to action, I could say. And my co-author, he also has a background of himself, for himself, that entails a range of different experiences. So my range of different experiences and his, right, was something that, caused us to have very open, broad conversations that I think really you're seeing in this philosophy here. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring value. I think that anyone, I know I'm probably going over time, but anyone
okay.
that wants to bring value, you just have to get up and do it. I just decided that I wanted to bring something valuable to the world, and I decided to reach out. I said, hey, collaborate with me. And this actually didn't start off as a philosophy. It started off as something else, and then it developed into the philosophy that you're seeing here today.
And where were you born?
Born in Trinidad and Tobago. Born and bred in the Twin Isle Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
And what was it like growing up there?
In Trinidad and Tobago, I was very privileged to have a wide range of experiences, and niche experiences as well, that developed me as an individual, and as a writer, as an artist, right? And I think everyone has had their fair share of good experiences and bad experiences. But I think that through it all, if you're able to take the lesson from it, that's important. So in my experience here, I was able to do that.
And what makes you most proud of being from Trinidad?
Most proud about being from Trinidad, I think that's a good question. I mean, this is not the real answer, but this is something leading up to it. I mean, the food from Trinidad and Tobago. When I go abroad, I could boast of the cuisine that we have, because our palate is just so wide. It's just so broad. You understand? And the amalgamation of different foods, contribute to who we are as a people. So that's something that I can boast of. What I am proud of is my Trinbagonianness. I probably just made up that word there, but I am able to see the world as an individual who could coexist with other people, from different cultures, ethnicities, races, countries. And this is because of our small size, or diminutive size, for want of a better word. We are 1.4 million people, short of 1.4 million people. And you have big countries with big population sizes that have a lot of people, but I don't think they have the understanding of each other like we do. That is the value in our small size. So I'm proud that we are, so small and so valuable as well. I think this is due in part to us knowing somebody down the road that, is from a different culture, a different race, ethnicity, and actually knowing them, but not just, and not just knowing of them. In big countries, you find that people know of the different cultures and stuff that, or subcultures that exist within their countries, but they don't know them really. So that is the value, and I'm really very, very proud of that.
And how are you celebrating Trinidad's Independence Day?
How did I celebrate, or how am I celebrating all year?
All year.
All year?
Sure.
So we have a series of events to commemorate this 60th year. And I've attended a couple of them thus far. Musical events, one being at the National Academy for the Performing Arts, where I got the opportunity to see the Philharmonic Orchestra. Shout out to, Mark, that is the principal, one of the main double bassists in the orchestra, and other people that I know from the orchestra as well. I got to see them perform. This was right before the day itself, the 31st. I went to an art exhibition at one of the Magnificent Seven, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And I attended a couple different events to, celebrate this milestone. Yeah. And I'm going to be attending, a lot of different events as the year unfolds. And this also, before I finish, this is just the pre-launch. I didn't add that one in before. So an official book launch will be held, and I'll give the date at a later time. I just remember that.
Will do. And where can our viewers purchase your book, A Purposeful Madness?
This book can be purchased on Amazon. Currently, there are adjustments in the manuscript. So when you purchase, if you purchased before, I think 2 days ago or so, or maybe today, you'd see, a few different tweaks. And this is still the pre-launch version, but it is available on Amazon. And when you purchase, you'll be able to, get access to it and maybe send it to a friend as well. Yeah.
And where can our followers follow you across social media?
Right. So my new social media handle is Samuel Continues across the board on all platforms.
Got it.
Right. Samuel Continues, as you're seeing here. And the social media for the philosophy, excuse me, sorry, is Raptivism. Right. And you'll see that across the different platforms as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining me for this interview. I feel like you educated me so much. I learned a lot. And a lot of our viewers who are watching made comments about how intelligent and knowledgeable of a person you are. We have one person that said, it is so refreshing and encouraging to see someone so young thinking like this. This is the next generation. Next generation's in good hands. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you kindly.
All right.
Before we end the interview, I'd like to shout out my barber. Today I got a trim. I never get the opportunity to shout him out. And I think, as individuals, hairstylists and stuff like that, we show up. And this is how we show up in the world. So I'd like to shout out my barber Flex. Tuned into this interview. If not, you'll probably see it at a later date. I'd like to shout out my parents as well and all of my friends that, you know, were supporting along the way and continue to support, and all of my other family members.
Well, thank you so much again. It was a pleasure having you. And everyone, go to Amazon and get a Purposeful Madness. All right.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. We'll definitely
Thank you
stay
for
in
having
touch.
me. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much.